Okay, so this morning we mainly focused on purification practice, although when we do purification, we also accumulate merit because the practice of purification involves these 4 powers, and the first one is the power of regret. Well, there are these 4 powers, but they don't always come in the same order. So the order can vary. Different practices, the arrangement of the 4 powers might be a little different. But yeah, there's the power of regret, and that's feeling regret for the negative actions that we have done, and that itself is virtuous. Yeah, it's a virtuous state of mind to recognize, oh, I did this and that, killing, stealing, lying, and I regret those actions. So that's virtuous. We're generating a virtuous state of mind. And then with the second power, the power of reliance, there we take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And that's also virtuous. Yeah? Very, very virtuous. And the second part of reliance is generating compassion for sentient beings, realizing they don't want to suffer. And I want to respect that. I don't want to make them suffer. So again, that's a virtuous state of mind. And then the power of the third power is the remedy, and that's doing something virtuous to counteract the negative action that we did. So it could be reciting the names of the Buddhas like we did this morning, reciting sutras, mantras, meditating on emptiness, making offerings. There's many different things you can do, but it's necessarily virtuous to do those things. And then the fourth power is making the determination to at least try not to do those actions again. Have that certainty that you don't want to just go out and do the same things again. So that's also virtuous. To say, I'm going to stop doing non-virtue. We're naturally creating virtue. So so you see, by doing purification, if we have all the 4 powers, we are creating virtue as well. But then there are also some practices that are mainly to accumulate virtue. So I thought this afternoon we could do this practice of, it's called, extensive offering practice. So yeah, it's in this blue-colored prayer book, starting on page 45. So Lama Zopa Rinpoche often emphasized the practice of making offerings, extensive offerings, lots and lots and lots of offerings, and he pulled out quotations from sutras and texts and so on about the benefits of making offerings. And so I thought before we do the practice, I'll read through that section at the beginning where he talks about this, all the benefits. And then you just feel like, oh, I really want to make offerings and lots of offerings and to lots of holy beings and holy objects and so on. So it's really inspiring. And there were times in the past when I was living in Bodh for periods of time, a few months at a time, and we would sometimes go to the stupa, the site where the Buddha attained enlightenment. It's really, really holy, special place. And we'd go there at night, and there were usually lots of light offerings around the stupa and other offerings that people made, flowers and so on. So we would sit there and do this extensive light offering practice, and it was just so blissful. We just felt, you just feel so happy doing it, especially in such a holy place. So anyway, I thought, I don't know if ABC does this practice regularly or occasionally or never. I mean, these books, they're full of all these practices to do, but yeah, it's quite hard to do all of them. So anyway, so this way, maybe for some of you, this is the first time you're doing this practice, and it might inspire you to do it more. And this is an extensive offering practice, but as Lama Zopa says in the beginning, even if you just offer one flower to the Buddha, then that is incredible merit. Great merit is created. So, even in your daily life, if you don't have time to do an extensive practice like this, but if you have an altar at home, and it's not difficult to get flowers, these are available almost everywhere. Also fruit, anything that you have, you can offer. Even just one offering to the Buddha is very, very powerful, creates a huge amount of merit. So we'll do that, and then after that, I think there will be time we can also do the practice of Vajrasattva, which I have made slides, so we can read them from the slides. Okay, so let's start by generating bodhicitta motivation. So we already did that this morning, but it doesn't hurt to renew it, to refresh it. So see if you can really open your heart to others, other people, other beings, and understand that they are basically the same as you. They wish for happiness, good experiences, and to not have pain, suffering, bad experiences. And feel how wonderful it would be if all living beings could have the happiness and the good experiences that they wish for, and could be free of all the suffering and problems that they don't want. And then see if you can go one step further and feel the wish you could do something about that yourself. You would like to help sentient beings, as many as you can, to have happiness and good experiences, and help them be free of suffering and bad experiences. And we may sometimes feel incapable of doing much that is helpful to others. But we can just do as much as we can according to our abilities, our time, our energy. And the Buddha's teachings, the Dharma, teach us a lot of ways that we can help others. Even when we're staying at home and doing practice, doing meditation and so on, there are lots of things we can do that are beneficial for others on a mental level, a spiritual level. So, for example, if we generate bodhicitta, the aspiration to become a Buddha, fully enlightened Buddha, and anything we do with that as our motivation, it does become the cause for us in the future to reach enlightenment and then be of the greatest benefit to all beings. So anything we do with bodhicitta becomes beneficial for all beings. So let's generate that motivation as a reason for doing the practices we'll be doing this afternoon. Have the wish that these practices will be the cause for our attainment of enlightenment, becoming a Buddha, so that we can be of the greatest benefit to all other beings. Okay, so I thought to read through this explanation by Rinpoche, starting on page 45, an introduction to offering practice. Since we are going to make many offerings and engage in the practice of extensive offering, I think it is good to understand the inconceivable benefit that offering has. This is very important. Offering one flower to a statue of Buddha creates results that never finish until one achieves liberation. If we think of all the samsaric pleasures that we have had from beginningless rebirths and all the samsaric happiness we will have in the future, still the result of offering one flower to a statue of Buddha doesn't end. Until one achieves liberation does not just mean liberation from samsara, it means great liberation, full enlightenment, the non-abiding, sorrowless state in which one has ceased all the gross and subtle mistakes of the mind and completed all the qualities. So in other words, Buddhahood, the state of full enlightenment, Buddhahood. Even to achieve liberation from samsara, you have to complete all the paths. Liberation doesn't happen suddenly without the preliminary of actualizing those steps on the path. When we say offering one flower to a statue of Buddha causes one to achieve liberation, we have to understand it is causing us to realize the whole path, every single path to liberation, and the steps of realizations within each path. It causes us to achieve the great liberation of full enlightenment. So this gives an idea of the unimaginable benefit that offering a flower to a Buddha statue contains. All the past samsaric pleasure that one has experienced from beginningless past lives and all future samsaric happiness, and on top of that, attaining the whole path to liberation and the whole path to enlightenment. Even after one has achieved great liberation, the benefits of offering one flower to a statue of a Buddha still don't end. Why? Because then you are able to benefit numberless sentient beings. You cause those who are devoid of temporary happiness to have temporary happiness. You cause those who don't have ultimate happiness to have ultimate happiness. You bring numberless sentient beings from happiness to full enlightenment. Not just one sentient being. You benefit numberless sentient beings until everyone becomes enlightened. Even if you offer a tiny flower or a single rice grain, you achieve all those benefits. We are not aware of the limitless skies of benefits we achieve from the practice of offering, what we can achieve and enjoy from life to life. Even while we are in samsara, we will enjoy good rebirths, wealth, and every happiness. Even just the samsaric perfections are amazing without adding all those incredible realizations that allow us to offer deep benefit to sentient beings, liberating them from oceans of samsaric suffering and its cause, delusion, and karma. So what he's saying is, if we do an action like offering a flower to the statue of the Buddha, and he doesn't mention it, but I think it means doing it with the motivation of bodhicitta, doing it with bodhicitta motivation. So then that small action becomes the cause to become a Buddha, fully enlightened Buddha. Not only that, but it becomes the cause of all good experiences in all our future lives up to enlightenment. We'll have good rebirths, we'll have all the resources we need, good body, good health, everything we need, and of course being able to continue to practice the Dharma, to follow the path. So all those good things will be ours, will be the results of doing something with the bodhicitta motivation. And then, of course, the long-term final result is becoming a Buddha, yeah? And then once we're Buddha, then we can work to help all other beings, right? You can help all sentient beings be happy and free of suffering and become enlightened as well. So it's like the benefits are just unending, vast, huge, and go on for a long time, forever. And then he says, it's not only a flower. I was at Deer Park Center, that's in Wisconsin, where Geshe Sopa lived, and explained the benefits of offering one flower to the Buddha. And the next day, many people went to buy flowers. But this is just an example. That doesn't mean only flowers. The benefit comes from any offering. Offering to a statue of Buddha and offering to the actual living Buddha are exactly the same. Offering to a statue does not create less merit than offering to the actual Buddha. When Buddha was in India, the Bodhisattva, meaningful to behold, asked, "Now we see Buddha and make offerings, but in the future we will not be able to see the Buddha. What should we do?" Buddha said, "There's no difference at all between making offerings to me now and making offerings to my statue in the future." So offering even to statues is equal to having the Buddha actually in front of us and making offerings to him. And there's no difference between offering to a statue of Buddha or a visualized Buddha. Even if there's no statue, but you think of Buddha and make offerings, it has incredible, inexhaustible benefits. So even if you don't have a statue of Buddha, or you're in a place where there isn't any statue of the Buddha, you can just think of the Buddha, visualize the Buddha, and make offerings and still get this vast amount of merit. So why is this? Because Buddha has inconceivable qualities. He completed the 2 types of merit and ceased all the mistakes of the mind. So I think the 2 types of merit refer to method and wisdom, the 2 main practices of the path. Wisdom, cultivating the understanding of emptiness, and then merit or method is practicing giving and ethics and so on, the first 5 perfections. Why does any service or offering to Buddha have inconceivable, unimaginable, unfathomable merit? Because Buddha has unimaginable, unfathomable, and incomparable qualities. The limitless skies of benefit we receive are due to the Buddha's qualities. And Buddha achieved these limitless qualities in order to help us. All these qualities came from the root, which is compassion. Compassion causes one to realize bodhicitta, the mind taking full responsibility to liberate numberless beings from all the suffering and its cause and bring them to enlightenment. From bodhicitta, one achieves enlightenment for sentient beings. So Buddha generated compassion for us and every other living being in the universe, and that led him to generate bodhicitta, follow the bodhisattva path, do all the work that was necessary to become enlightened so that he could benefit us. We must remember that every single offering we make in our daily lives to Buddha has all these unimaginable benefits and results. Therefore, during this life, until death comes, however many years, months, days, weeks, days, hours, minutes, or seconds we have until we die, we shouldn't miss out on such an opportunity. It is so easy to do, and the result is inexhaustible happiness. Not only temporary happiness, but ultimate happiness and the ability to enlighten all sentient beings. There is so much you can enjoy in life, like the limitless sky. You can make life meaningful all the time. After you collect all this merit, you dedicate to numberless hell beings, numberless hungry ghosts, numberless animals, numberless human beings, suras and asuras, even the arhats and bodhisattvas. You dedicate for them to achieve enlightenment. Not only do you collect all this merit, but then you give it to all living beings for their happiness. That is another unbelievable thing to enjoy in this life. So it's clear, Rinpoche himself had so much delight, so much joy to create merit and then give all that merit away to others. So he's inspiring us to do the same. Our life is full of opportunity. It is unbelievable what we can do. It is so easy to have realization. You can do the practice of offering not just one time, but many times a day and at night. You can't plant crops in the field all the time. You have to follow certain seasons. But there's no limit to creating merit with the merit field, with Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. You can do it 24 hours a day. So that's true, isn't it? When you have an ordinary field, you can't grow crops all the time, right? You have to wait for the right season. And also it usually takes a long time for the crops to grow before you can then plant more and grow more. But creating merit is like, planting crops and producing crops. So this is something you can do all the time. You don't have to wait for the right season. It's only from one's own side that we don't do it. There's no blockage from the side of the merit field. It's not like gold and dollars, where now the value is very high and then it goes down. Buddha's quality doesn't go down. Therefore, offering, making prostrations, circumambulating, service, and so forth, all these things related to Buddha creates inexhaustible merit. It's always the same. That's a good point too. Stocks and currencies and things like gold, you can never be sure what they're going to be worth. They can go really far down and then you lose a lot of money. But in the case of the Buddha's qualities will never decrease, will never go down. So we can always create a lot of merit with the Buddha. Okay, so here are some benefits of making light offerings. It is said in the 10-wheel sutra of the essence of earth, referring to Ksitigarbha, all comfort, happiness, and peace in this world come from making offerings to the rare sublime ones. That's the 3 jewels. And therefore, those who want comfort, happiness, and peace should always try to make offerings to the rare sublime ones. In general, all goodness in samsara and nirvana comes from making offerings to the triple gem. But specifically, different kinds of offerings bring you different benefits. Guru Shakyamuni Buddha, whose holy mind was enriched with the 10 powers, announced in the tune of Brahma Sutra clarifying karma that making light offerings brings you 10 benefits. 1, you become like a light in the world. 2, when born human, you achieve the clairvoyance of the pure flesh eye. So I think, pure flesh eye, I don't remember how that goes. Anyway, 3, you achieve the Deva's eye, divine eye. 4, you receive the wisdom of knowing what is virtue and what is non-virtue. That's really important. 5, you are able to eliminate the darkness of ignorance, the concept of inherent existence. 6, you receive the illumination of wisdom. Even in samsara, you never experience darkness. 7, you receive much wealth and enjoyment. 8, you are reborn in the Deva or human realm. 9, you quickly become liberated. And 10, you quickly attain enlightenment. Devas are human beings who accumulate the merit of making one light offering or a handful of flowers will see the Buddha Maitreya. The Sutra of Arya Maitreya says, those who offer 1,000 lights or 1,000 blue upali flowers or make the pinnacle of a stupa or holy form will be reborn when Maitreya Buddha shows the deed of gaining enlightenment and will receive his first Dharma teaching. It is also said that those who offer even one flower or rejoice in the merit of others who offer will achieve Buddhahood. This means that even if you don't get enlightened during the time of Guru Shakyamuni Buddha's teachings, during Maitreya Buddha's teaching, your mind will ripen and you will gain liberation. Offering light in particular is a special door of dependent arising for quickly completing the accumulation of merit and receiving great blessings. It is said in the 2nd chapter of the Root Tantra of Chakrasambhara, who is a manifestation of Shakyamuni Buddha, if you want sublime realizations, offer hundreds of lights. If you want to know the detailed results of making offerings to holy objects or of offering service to the Buddha or other holy objects, you should study the Sutra of the One Who Looks with a Compassionate Eye, Avalokiteshvara, the Sutra of Sogyal, where Buddha gave instruction to King Sogyal, or the Kunchok Tala. Don't know what that is. The next, immortal drum sound mantra says, if you devote yourself to the inconceivable one, the results will similarly be inconceivable. In the same way, the Sutra of the One Who Looks with a Compassionate Eye says, since the dharmas, i.e. the qualities of the Buddha, thus gone, Tathagata, are limitless, making offering to the Tathagata brings limitless, infinite, inconceivable, incomparable, unimaginable, numberless benefits. And the small quotation sutra says, it is possible for the moon and stars to fall to earth, for mountains and forests to rise up into the sky, and for the water of the great oceans to completely dry up. But it is not possible for the great sage, the Buddha, to tell a lie. Keep this in mind and generate strong devotion to and faith in the root of all happiness and goodness, actions and their results, karma, and the blessings of the 3 precious, rare, sublime ones. While you have this body and possessions, which are as if borrowed for a year, a month, or a few days, night and day, all the time, attend to the practice of taking the essence of this human life, whose short duration is like a flash of lightning, by planting as many seeds as possible in this special field of merit. Okay, so that explains benefits of making offerings. And again, it can be any kind of offerings. Here it mentions flowers, lights, but offering foods and many different things, nice things. They should be nice things. Making offerings of those. And it's also said you can make offerings like actual offerings, buying things and putting them on the altar. And you can also make visualized offerings, so you can visualize, imagine offerings in the sky and beautiful, precious things, and then offer those. But we shouldn't let that become an excuse to be miserly and think, oh, I don't want to spend my money on offerings, so I'll just visualize offerings and offer those. So that's kind of cheating. I mean, if you do have the means to buy offerings, then it is good to do that. But then you can expand your offerings beyond what you just put on the altar, and you can also visualize many, many, many offerings in space. And also you can offer things that, like, we collectively, we just put these offerings on the altar, but there's also other offerings in this building. On, I guess in Rinpoche's room, level 7, there's some offerings up there, probably. And then level 5, there's 1,000 sets of offerings of water, flowers, and so on that are set out. And then level 4, there's also some lights and other offerings. And then on this level, there's also many offerings, and downstairs. So in this building, there's lots of offerings, and so we can think of those and add those to the offerings we ourselves have made. And likewise at Kopan Monastery, Bogai, wherever there's a FPMT center of Lama Zopa Rinpoche, or a house in Washington State, there's a house that belonged to Rinpoche, and there's a whole floor of that house is filled with altars and offerings, and the Sangha who live there every day set out many bowls of water and other offerings. So those offerings are also made every day. So we can also think of all those offerings and add them to the ones that we are offering. Okay, so let's start the practice. Page 51 starts with the motivation. The purpose of my life is, we can read this together. The purpose of my life is not only to solve my own problems and gain happiness for myself, but to free all beings from their problems and lead them to all happiness, especially the state of full enlightenment. Therefore, I must first achieve complete enlightenment. To do this, I must complete the 2 accumulations, the merit of fortune or method and the merit of wisdom. Therefore, I am going to make charity of these light offerings and make offerings of these lights to the merit field. And it says you can also think of particular projects or people who've passed away or sick or specific purposes. So if any of you know someone who's passed away recently or is dying or is sick and needs special prayers, you can think of them and feel you're doing the practice on their behalf. And so we first bless the offerings by reciting Om Ahum 3 times. Om Ahum, Om Ahum, Om Ahum. And then making charity to the beings of the 6 realms. So Rinpoche says, think that you have received these offerings through the kindness of all sentient beings. So there are sentient beings who produced these offerings, the foods, the lights, the flowers, and so on, who worked hard to produce them, and so that we could buy them. And then to be able to have the money to buy offerings, we also depended on other people, like your boss who pays you wages, or your parents who gave you money, or your clients who do business with you so that you have money. So to be able to have these offerings, we depend on other sentient beings. And so he says, we shouldn't think of these offerings as mine. We shouldn't have an attitude of kind of self-centered possessiveness, my offerings, and instead think of how we are dependent on other beings and then share the offerings with others. So he says, make charity of all the offerings to all the hell beings, pretas, animals, humans, asuras, and suras. So all the sentient beings in the 6 realms. Imagine we're sharing them, the offerings with them, and this is to counteract the thought that the offerings belong to me, my offerings. And then also we can think that we're making the offerings on behalf of all sentient beings. So if we mentally share the offerings with all other sentient beings, then imagine together with all of them, we are making these offerings. We're doing this practice of making the offerings. So in that way, they benefit too. Yeah, imagining they are making offerings along with us, so then they get the merit of making offerings as well. So thinking in that way, generate great happiness by doing this, sharing the offerings with all other beings. And you can even imagine, if you can, imagine all other beings are with us, doing this practice along with us, and getting the benefit of the practice along with us. Okay, so then we read together the last verse on page 52. I actually make and mentally transform the offerings of humans and devas. May Samantabhadra clouds of offerings pervade the whole sky. And then there's this offering cloud mantra we'll recite 3 times, which multiplies the offerings, making them numberless. Om Namo Bhagavate Vajrasattva Brahmadana Tathagataya Arhate Samyak Sambuddhaya Dayata Om Vajre Vajre Maha Vajre Maha Teja Vajre Maha Vidya Vajre Maha Bodhi Chitta Vajre Maha Bodhi Mandra Pasam Kramana Vajre Sawakama Ararana Vishodana Vajre Soha Om Namo Bhagavate Vajrasattva Brahmadana Tathagataya Arhate Samyak Sambuddhaya Tayata Om Vajre Vajre Maha Vajre Maha Teja Vajre Maha Vidya Vajre Maha Bodhi Chitta Vajre Maha Bodhi Man Pasam Kramana Vajre Sawakama Araran Vishodana Vajre Soha Om Namo Bhagavate Vajrasattva Brahmadana Tathagataya Arhate Samyak Sambuddhaya Tayata Om Vajre Vajre Mahavaj Mahateja Vajre Mahavidya Vaj Mahabodhi Chitta Vaj Mahabodhi Mandrapasam Kramana Vaj Sawakama Arana Vishodana Vajre Soham. By the power of truth of the three rare sublime ones, the blessings of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, the great wealth of the completed two collections, and the sphere of phenomena being pure and inconceivable, may these piles of clouds of offerings arising through transformation by the Bodhisattvas, Arya Samantabhadra, Manjushri, and so forth, unimaginable and inexhaustible, equaling the sky, arise, and in the eyes of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions be received. Okay, so next is making the offerings, and you can close your eyes and meditate, and I'll recite these words. So basically we're then mentally offering all these beautiful offerings which are presented on the altar, plus other offerings in the building, other offerings around the world, including beautiful things in nature. For example, you can think of beautiful parks and mountains and forests and meadows full of wildflowers and lakes and waterfalls. So all the beautiful things in nature, you can think of those as well and mentally offer those to the Buddhas. And so we're going to go through and mentally make these offerings, present these offerings to various holy beings and holy objects in different places. So I will read it, and you can just meditate and mentally make these offerings. And then later there's a prayer we'll recite together. So we're going to be offering the offerings to various holy objects, visualizing them as manifestations of your own root guru. So if you have a guru, if you have one or more gurus, spiritual teachers, then you think that whatever holy objects we're offering to are manifestations of your gurus. And if you don't have a guru, you can just think of the Buddha in his enlightened mind and all his incredible qualities, and think that all the holy objects we are offering to are manifestations of the Buddha's mind, enlightened mind. Okay, so first we make offerings to all the holy objects here in this place, Amitabha Buddhist Center. So right here in this room there are many statues and tankas depicting holy beings, but also in the other levels, upstairs and downstairs, there are also many, many holy objects. So all the tankas, the paintings, and the statues, and the stupas, and the scriptures. We have a collection of all the Buddha's words, and the words of the great Indian masters and Tibetan masters. There's also lots of books, Dharma books in the library containing holy words. And even little pictures, even small pictures of Buddhas and so forth, tsatsas, images made of clay or plaster, relics. There's a relic, a blood relic of Lama Zopa Rinpoche inside the crystal stupa here. Prayer wheels downstairs and upstairs and so on. So these are all holy objects just here in Amitabha Buddhist Center. So think of all of them as inseparable from your spiritual teacher, and also all other spiritual teachers like His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And then mentally make the offerings, present all these beautiful offerings to them. And remember, she says it's good to put your hands together, like in the Anjali Mudra, and really feel that you are expressing your respect and appreciation by making these offerings to them. And next, we make all these offerings, both real and visualized, to every single holy object in this country. So all around Singapore, it's a small country, but there's lots of temples, big and small, and in those temples, there are statues, other images, scriptures, relics, so many holy objects in the temples, but also in people's homes. There are many people who are Buddhist and they have altars in their own homes, so they also have holy objects. So think of all the holy objects right here in Singapore, as well as spiritual teachers, any spiritual teachers who are here. And again, think of all these holy objects and holy beings as inseparable from your own spiritual teachers, and present the offerings to them with respect. And imagine great bliss is experienced in the holy minds of our spiritual teachers. And next, we're going to present the offerings to the holy objects in India, including the stupa in Bodh Gaya, where 1,000 Buddhas descended, and all throughout India and other places. There are also statues and stupas and scriptures and so on in temples and people's homes and so on. So think of all of those holy objects in India, and also His Holiness the Dalai Lama and other holy beings. So some of our gurus, our spiritual teachers, are there in India, and the gurus, the spiritual teachers of other people. So we can think of all of them and all those holy beings and holy objects, and think of them as manifestations or inseparable from our own spiritual teachers, and then mentally present the offerings to them, imagining great bliss experienced in their holy minds. And next, we make the offerings to the holy beings and holy objects in Tibet, including the very holy statue of the Buddha, which is called a Joel Rinpoche, in the main temple in Lhasa. It was blessed by Guru Shakyamuni Buddha himself, and also throughout Tibet, there's many other statues and tankas, stupas, scriptures, as well as holy beings, teachers, gurus of ourselves and others. So think of all of those holy beings and holy objects in Tibet, and imagine them as inseparable from your own spiritual teacher. Present the offerings and imagine the great bliss experienced in their holy minds. next, we'll make the offerings to the holy objects and holy beings in Nepal, including Bodhnath Stupa, the great stupa in Bodhnath, and the Swayambhunath Stupa. And there's many other stupas. Some are very ancient, very holy, and also many holy objects in the various temples and people's homes, like Kopan Monastery, which some of you have been to, and other monasteries. So there's many statues and tankas and scriptures and other holy objects all throughout Nepal, as well as spiritual teachers. Some of your own teachers may be there, but teachers of other people. So think of all those holy objects and holy beings as inseparable from your own spiritual teachers, and mentally present the offerings to them, imagining great bliss experienced in their holy minds. And then we'll make the offerings to every single holy object in the other Buddhist countries, like mainland China and Thailand, Taiwan, Burma, Japan, Korea, Mongolia, Sri Lanka, Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. So, yeah. So in those countries, there are many Buddhists, many temples and monasteries. So there's many holy objects, statues of the Buddha, stupas, scriptures, and so on. And so mentally think of all of them and imagine them as inseparable from your own spiritual teachers, and make the offerings to them, imagining great bliss experienced in their holy minds. And then we'll make the offerings to every single holy object in the rest of the world. So Buddhism has really spread all over the world, especially in the last century or so. So even in countries which historically were not Buddhist, you can find many people who now practice Buddhism. And so there are temples and monasteries, Dharma centers, Buddhist centers, and also in the homes of individual practitioners. So in all those places in the world where such holy objects are, think of all of them and imagine they are inseparable from your own spiritual teachers, your virtuous friends. Make the offerings and imagine great bliss experienced in their holy minds. So we make all these offerings, both real and visualized, to all the 10 direction Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. So in all the 10 directions, north, south, east, west, and the cardinal directions, and then above and below. So in all 10 directions, throughout the universe, throughout the cosmos, there are Buddhas, enlightened beings, Dharma, teachings of the Buddha, and Sangha. So all of those that exist throughout the universe, think of them as inseparable from your spiritual teachers. Present the offerings to them and imagine great bliss experienced in their holy minds. And then we make the offerings to all the statues, stupas, scriptures in the 10 directions, all throughout the universe, thinking of all of them as inseparable from our spiritual friend. So make the offerings with respect and imagine great bliss experienced in their holy minds. Next, we make these offerings to Buddha Chenrezig. In the Tibetan tradition, Chenrezig Kuan Yin is regarded as fully enlightened Buddha. And seeing Chenrezig as inseparable from His Holiness the Dalai Lama and also from our own spiritual teachers. So make the offerings to Buddha Chenrezig and imagine great bliss experienced in their holy minds. Then we make these offerings to the 7 medicine Buddhas. Again, seeing them as inseparable from our own spiritual teachers. And also they are inseparable from all other Buddhas, even though they are in that specific form of medicine Buddhas, but they're no different from all the other Buddhas and from our spiritual teachers. So make the offerings to them and imagine great bliss experienced in their holy minds. Then we make these offerings to the Bodhisattva Ksitigarbha by seeing him as inseparable from our virtuous friend. So mentally make the offerings to Ksitigarbha and imagine great bliss experienced in their holy minds. Okay, so then there's a prayer that we read together, starting on the bottom of page 56. And let's read that together 3 times. These actually performed and mentally imagined offerings, the manifestations of one's own innate awareness, the Dharmakaya, these clouds of offerings equaling the infinite sky, I am offering to all the gurus and the three rare sublime ones, and to all the statues, stupas, and scriptures, all of which are manifestations of the Guru. I have accumulated infinite merit by having generated bodhicitta, having made charity to the sentient beings, and having made the actual offerings to the Gurus, Triple Gem, and to all holy objects of the 10 directions. Due to this merit, whomever I promise to pray for, whose name I receive to pray for, and whoever prays to me, principally servants, benefactors, and disciples, as well as all remaining sentient beings, living and dead, may the rays of the light of the 5 wisdoms completely purify all their degenerated vows and samaya right now. May all the sufferings of the evil-gone realms cease right now. May the 3 realms of samsara be emptied right now. May all impure minds and their obscurations be purified. May all impure appearances be purified. May the 5 holy bodies and wisdom spontaneously arise. So a second time. These actually performed and mentally imagined offerings, the manifestations of one's own innate awareness, the Dharmakaya, these clouds of offerings equaling the infinite sky, I am offering to all the gurus and the 3 rare sublime ones, and to all the statues, stupas, and scriptures, all of which are manifestations of the Guru. I have accumulated infinite merit by having generated bodhicitta, having made charity to the sentient beings, and having made the actual light offerings to the Gurus, Triple Gem, and to all holy objects of the 10 directions. Due to this merit, whomever I promise to pray for, whose name I receive to pray for, and whoever prays to me, principally servants, benefactors, and disciples, as well as all remaining sentient beings, living and dead, may the rays of the light of the 5 wisdoms completely purify all their degenerated vows and samaya right now. May all the sufferings of the evil-gone realms cease right now. May the 3 realms of samsara be emptied right now. May all impure minds and their obscurations be purified. May all impure appearances be purified. May the 5 holy bodies and wisdom spontaneously arise. Okay, third time. These actually performed and mentally imagined offerings, the manifestations of one's own innate awareness, the Dharmakaya, these clouds of offerings equaling the infinite sky, I am offering to all the gurus and the 3 rare sublime ones, and to all the statues, stupas, and scriptures, all of which are manifestations of the Guru. I have accumulated infinite merit by having generated bodhicitta, having made charity to the sentient beings, and having made the actual offerings to the Gurus, Triple Gem, and to all holy objects of the 10 directions. Due to this merit, promise to pray for, whose name I receive to pray for, and whoever prays to me, principally servants, benefactors, and disciples, as well as all remaining sentient beings, living and dead, may the rays of the light of the 5 wisdoms completely purify all their degenerated vows and samaya right now. May the sufferings of the evil-gone realms cease right now. May the 3 realms of samsara be emptied right now. May all impure minds and their obscurations be purified. May all pure appearances be purified. May the 5 holy bodies and wisdom spontaneously arise. So let's just take a few moments to contemplate the meaning of those words. Really wish that by the merit we've created by making these offerings, all the sufferings of all the beings in samsara will cease, and all the defilements, the afflictions, and even the subtle obscurations to enlightenment will completely disappear from their minds, so that all living beings will be able to reach full enlightenment, Buddhahood. Okay, then let's read the dedication verses at the end of this practice, dedicating all this vast, inconceivable merit we have just accumulated. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish, but increase more and more. Due to these infinite merits, may whatever sufferings sentient beings have ripen on me right now. May whatever happiness and virtue I have accumulated, including all the realizations of the path and the highest goal enlightenment, be received by each hell being, pret, animal, human, asura, and sura right now. Having dedicated in this way, you have accumulated infinite merit, so rejoice. May the precious sublime thought of enlightenment, the source of all success and happiness for myself and all other sentient beings, be generated without even a second's delay. May that which has been generated increase more and more without degeneration. Due to all the merits of the 3 times collected by me, Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and all other sentient beings, which are empty from their own side, may the I, which is empty from its own side, achieve enlightenment, which is empty from its own side, and lead all sentient beings who are empty from their own side to that enlightenment by myself alone. Whatever white virtues I have thus created, I dedicate as causes enabling me to uphold the holy Dharma of scriptures and insights, and to fulfill without exception all the prayers and deeds of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 3 times. By the force of this merit in all my lives, may I never be parted from Mahayana's 4 spheres, and may I reach the end of my journey along the paths of renunciation, bodhicitta, the pure view, and the 2 stages. With Lama Tsongkhapa as our direct guru in all future lifetimes, may I, my family, and all other sentient beings never be separated from the complete pure path praised by all victorious ones. Due to the merits of myself and others, may the victorious teachings of Lama Tsongkhapa, Losang Drakpa, flourish for a long time. May all the centers and projects of the FPMT immediately receive all the conditions necessary to preserve and spread these teachings. May all obstacles be pacified, and may the FPMT organization in general, and the meditation centers in particular, all our activities to preserve and spread the Dharma, particularly Lama Tsongkhapa's teachings, cause these teachings to continue without degeneration and to spread in the minds of all sentient beings. May those who have sacrificed their lives to benefit others through this organization have long, healthy lives, and may all their activities please the virtuous friend. In all their lives, may they always be guided by perfectly qualified Mahayana virtuous friends. May all their wishes succeed immediately in accordance with the holy Dharma. Okay, so let's take a break, maybe for about 5 minutes, and then we'll do the practice of Vajrasattva, and then I think we can call it a day after that. So we'll finish today with another purification practice. Probably most of you are familiar with it, but some may not be. So this is the practice of Vajrasattva, which is from the Vajrayana tradition of Buddhism. And there's different versions of Vajrasattva, different ways that Vajrasattva appears, and even some slight differences in the mantra. So I just put together this rather simple version of the practice. And so we basically visualize Vajrasattva in the space above our heads. And there's a picture that you can see. And then take refuge. So that's the first power. Well, in this case, it's the power of reliance, which is taking refuge and generating bodhicitta. And then there'll be the power of regret. So there we can spend a bit of time bringing to mind whatever negative actions we've done that we can remember having done in this life. But we can also think of actions that we probably did in past lives, even though we don't remember, but being an ordinary, unenlightened being in samsara, we probably did lots of naughty things in past lives as well. So we can still purify those even if we don't remember them. And then for the power of remedy, we recite the mantra of Vajrasattva. It will be on the screen, and visualize light flowing from Vajrasattva above our head into the crown of our head, and then kind of giving us a shower, an internal shower, washing out all the negative karma and all the negative energy, getting rid of that. Imagine it going down out of our body, and then you can think it goes down into the earth and disappears there. So we'll recite the mantra for a while. And then the last power is the power of determination, to resolve or promise to not repeat those same negative actions again in the future. So there, all the four powers are together in this practice. Okay, so first, take a few minutes to again settle yourself in a comfortable position, but not too comfortable. We don't want to fall asleep. So it's good to sit upright if you can. Keep your back straight while still keeping your shoulders relaxed. And make sure your mind is settled down here in the present, the here and now. So put aside thoughts of the past or the future, yesterday, tonight, tomorrow, and so on. Just, you can think about those things later, but while you're here, make the best use of your time and just keep your mind focused on this practice that we're doing. And recall your bodhicitta motivation that we generated earlier of wanting to help others as much as possible, both now in our life and also in the future, especially in a long-term sense of becoming enlightened, becoming a fully enlightened Buddha, to be able to help all beings in the best way. I think that's your reason for doing this practice. So I will describe the visualization of Vajrasattva, and you can just keep your eyes closed and do your best to create the visualization. So when we visualize, we're not using our eyes, we're using our mind, our mental consciousness. So creating a mental image of the deity, in this case Vajrasattva, so that your eyes be relaxed and not straining, trying to see Vajrasattva. So it's just using your mind to have a mental image, a mental picture of Vajrasattva. So Vajrasattva is in the space above your head. So a few inches above the top of your head is a seat consisting of a lotus with the petals open and spread out flat. On top of the lotus, a moon disk, flat disk made of light, representing the moon. And seated on the lotus and moon is Vajrasattva, and his body is made of white light. In fact, every aspect of the visualization is made of light. So the lotus, the moon, Vajrasattva, and all the details of Vajrasattva, they're all made of light, transparent, radiant, not solid like our bodies. And Vajrasattva is facing the same way as ourself, facing forward. His legs are crossed in the full lotus position. And he's wearing very beautiful clothes made of sort of divine celestial silks and beautiful ornaments. His face is peaceful and smiling, showing an expression of loving kindness and compassion and forgiveness towards you and all other beings. And he holds a vajra and bell. So the right hand holds a vajra in front of his heart, and the left hand holds a bell, sort of just above his leg. And think of Vajrasattva as representing all Buddhas, all enlightened beings, and all other holy beings and holy objects, including your own spiritual teachers, if you have any. To imagine Vajrasattva's mind and qualities are inseparable from all of those other holy beings. his heart, meaning the center of the chest, the heart chakra, there is a moon disk, a flat disk of light, lying horizontal. And in the center of the moon is the seed syllable hum. You can just imagine H-U-M if you don't know what the Tibetan looks like. And then the mantra of Vajrasattva is around the edge of the moon disk. Letters standing upright around the edge of the moon disk. So just imagine that they are there. Don't worry about visualizing them perfectly. So now we'll recite the prayer of refuge and bodhicitta, which is on the screen, 3 times, thinking of Vajrasattva as the embodiment of all 3 jewels. I take refuge in the 3 jewels. I will liberate all sentient beings and lead them to awakening. Thus I perfectly generate the mind dedicated to attaining awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. I take refuge in the 3 jewels. I will liberate all sentient beings and lead them to awakening. Thus I perfectly generate the mind dedicated to attaining awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. I take refuge in the 3 jewels. I will liberate all sentient beings and lead them to awakening. Thus I perfectly generate the mind dedicated to attaining awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. Okay, so next is the power of regret. So first, spend a bit of time thinking of what you would like to purify, like any of the 10 non-virtuous actions that you've done, any precepts you have taken but not kept. So anything you have done that you recognize as negative, non-virtuous, bring those to mind and feel a sense of regret. So seeing Vajrasattva as a combination of the method and wisdom and the wisdom and compassion of all the Buddhas, and as your own wisdom and compassion in fully developed form, in other words, sort of a role model and example showing us what we can achieve, then we make the request, which is at the bottom of this slide. O Bhagavan Vajrasattva, please clear away all negative karma and obscurations of myself and all living beings, and purify all degenerated and broken commitments. So now, again, focus on Vajrasattva above your head. Remember that at his heart is the moon disk and the seed syllable Hum in the center of the moon disk, and the letters of the mantra around the edge of the moon disk. So imagine that from the Hum at Vajrasattva's heart, rays of light go out in all directions and fill all of space. So they go to every corner of the universe. And they reach all the Buddhas, all the enlightened beings, and request their blessings. And then all the Buddhas accept the request and send white rays of light and nectar, the essence of which is the knowledge of their body, speech, and mind. So all that light and nectar from all the Buddhas comes back and absorbs into the Hum and the mantra at Vajrasattva's heart. So imagine light and nectar coming from all the Buddhas all throughout space, absorbing into Vajrasattva's heart and kind of empowering the letters at his heart, the Hum and the mantra. And then the light and nectar also fill Vajrasattva's whole body, enhancing the magnificence of his appearance and increasing the brilliance of the mantra. So now visualize light and nectar flowing down from Vajrasattva's heart, from the Hum and the mantra at his heart. So it comes straight down, kind of like a waterfall. It goes through his body and then into the top of your head and into your body, going all the way down to the feet and toes and fingers and hands, and fills you completely. Every part of your body gets filled with this light and nectar, which again, the essence of the light and nectar is all the knowledge and the qualities of all the Buddhas, their body, speech, and mind. So now that's filling our body and our mind. And so it fills every cell of our body and our mind with infinite bliss. And it purifies. Imagine that it purifies our negative energy, our negative karma. So there's different visualizations that can be done while reciting the mantra. So we'll just do one basic one. So you think that your negative, like your negative karma, negative energy, also afflictions in the mind, like greed, hatred, ignorance, and so on. So imagine those in the form of black liquid, like black ink, and it gets flushed out of the body through all the orifices of the body, and then goes down into the earth below, disappearing there. And if there's any sickness in your body, you imagine that taking the form of sort of yucky liquids like pus and blood. And any disturbances caused by spirits, you imagine that in the form of scary creatures like scorpions and snakes, frogs and crabs. And so imagine those also getting flushed out of the body, pushed out by the light and nectar, and they go out through the orifices like filthy liquid flowing out of a drain pipe. So imagine them going down, disappearing into the earth. There's also one visualization you might want to do. Imagine deep down in the earth is Yama, the Lord of Death, who looks like a big scary monster. And he's down there with his mouth wide open, and all this yucky stuff goes into his mouth. But for him, it's like delicious dessert, something really yummy and delicious. So he's swallowing it and enjoying it. And doing that visualization can help clear away obstacles to our life so that we can live longer, as well as purifying all that negative karma. So that's optional to do that visualization. You might want to do it or not, as you wish. But the important thing is to feel that all that negative energy gets out of you, disappears in the earth, and it doesn't exist anymore. Completely gone forever. So let's recite the mantra of Vajrasattva. So let's do it 7 times out loud together, and then continue silently on our own for the remainder. We usually recite 21 mantras, so just do as many as you can while doing that visualization. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Teno Patita Tido Me Bawa Sutokayo Me Bawa Supokayo Me Bawa Anuratu Me Bawa Sarva Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sarva Kama Sutsa Me Sitam Shriram Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajramamema Vajrabhava Mahasamaya Sattva Ahum Pe Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Teno Patita Tido Me Bawa Sutukayo Me Bawa Supokayo Me Bawa Anurato Me Bawa Sarva Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sarva Kama Sutsa Me Sitam Shriram Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sarva Tathagat Vajramame Munsa Vajrabhava Ma Samaya Sattva Ahum Pe Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Teno Patita Tido Me Bawa Sutokayo Me Bawa Supokayo Me Bawa Anurato Me Bawa Sawa siddhi me prayatsa sawa kama sutsam citam shriram kuruhum ha 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 ho bhagavan sarva tathagata vajramame mud vajrabhava mahasamaya sattva ahum pe Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Teno Patita Tido Me Bhava Sutukayo Me Bhava Supukayo Me Bhava Anurato Me Bhava Sawa Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sawa Kama Sutsame Citam Shriram Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tat Vajramame Munsa Vajrabhava Ma Samaya Sattva Ahum Pe Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Teno Patita Tido Me Bhava Sutukayo Me Bhava Supokayo Me Bhava Anurato Me Bhava Sawa Siddhi Me Praya Sawa Kama Sutsame Citam Shriram Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tathagata Vajramame Munsa Vajrabhava Mahasamaya Sattva Ahum Pe Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Teno Patita Tido Me Bhava Sutukayo Me Bhava Supokayo Me Bhava Anurato Me Bhava Sawa Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sawa Kama Sutsame Citam Shriram Kuruhum Ha 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 Bhagavan Sarva Tathag Vajramame Mansa Vajrabhava Samaya Sattva Ahum Pe Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Teno Patita Tido Me Bhava Sutukayo Me Bhava Anurato Me Bhava Sawa Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sawa Kama Sutsam Citam Shriram Kuruhum Ha 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 Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajramame Mans Vajrabhava Ma Samaya Sattva Ahum Pe Om Vajrasattva Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Teno Patita Tido Me Bhava Sutukayo Me Bhava Supokayo Me Bhava Anarato Me Bhava Sawasiddhi Me Prayata Sawakama Sutsa Me Citam Shriram Kuruhum Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramame Vajrabhavama Samaya Sattva Ahom Pe. So really feel you've cleared out all that negative energy, negative karma, defilement, sickness, and so on. It's all gone, disappeared in the earth, and your body is like crystal. Your mind is calm and clear like the sky. And then the fourth and last power is determination or resolve. So take refuge in Vajrasattva and think, through ignorance and delusion I have broken and degenerated my commitments. O spiritual master, be my protector and refuge. Lord, holder of the Vajra, endowed with great compassion, in you, the foremost of beings, I take refuge. And make the determination to do your best to not do those same negative actions again in the future. So make that promise to Vajrasattva, seeing him as the embodiment of all objects of refuge. And then imagine that Vajrasattva is very pleased and says to you, my spiritual child of the essence, all your negativities, obscurations, and degenerated vows have now been completely purified. And then with delight, Vajrasattva melts into light that comes down through your crown into you, dissolving into you, and meditate that your body, speech, and mind become inseparable from Vajrasattva's holy body, speech, and mind. You can think you have this potential to become just like Vajrasattva, your body, speech, and mind, just like his, just like that of all the Buddhas. And then finally, dedicate the merit So these are chantable verses. Due to this merit, may we soon attain the awakened state of Vajrasattva, that we may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their sufferings. May the precious Bodhi mind, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. And I thought it would also be nice to read Shantideva's dedication verses. If I can find them in here. The Red Book, page 246. So just think of all the merit, all the virtue we've created today, doing these various actions of purification and extensive offerings and so on. So we've created a lot of virtue, a lot of merit. So let's, just like Shantideva, let's pray that we'll be able to be of benefit to all sentient beings and help them all reach enlightenment. May all beings everywhere, plagued by sufferings of body and mind, obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of my merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled, or with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. So, we did some really good things today. I hope you enjoyed it and feel inspired to keep doing these practices. It's usually recommended that we do a purification practice every day, at least once a day, especially at the end of the day is a good time. Thinking back over the day and remembering anything we did that was wrong, non-virtuous, and then doing a purification practice. And if you don't have much time, you can do it in a simple way, even using Om Mani Padme Hum, visualize Chenrezig, and confess, and then recite Om Mani Padme Hum. So it doesn't have to be Vajrasattva, which is a really long mantra, and it usually takes quite a while to learn. So even a simple mantra like Om Mani Padme Hum, or the Buddha's mantra could be used. But yeah, it's good to do some purification practice to clear up the karma we create each day before we go to the next day. So, yeah, so it's been good. Thank you very much for joining and giving us this opportunity to practice together and support each other in our practice.